that the nation state is challenged by Bitcoin. And that's exactly what's happening in China. It is censorship resistant. It is resilient. People want to trade. People will find a way. How did the Vietnamese beat America in that war? Because they were resilient. You could bomb them all day long, but they found a way. They found a way to keep going, and they eventually beat an empire. How did the U.S. beat the British Empire? We found a way in the end to beat
the French helped us.
And because we asked the French, s'il vous plaît, aide-moi. And we beat the empire. Now we've got a new empire out there called the nation state and the central banking system that runs on fiat money nonsense, and Bitcoin will defeat them.
And the important thing about the eruption of initial coin offerings that happened last year, and it's kind of petered out now that there are crackdowns on it, and apparently innovators and entrepreneurs are finding ways around the regulations. But it did show that the likes of Jamie Dimon had failed. There was a demand for, and the likes of Jamie Dimon, what he considers the good guys of the regulators and government, that they had cracked down too much. There was demand by people to invest in things. They wanted to participate in the financial environment. A small, young guys with an idea wanted to raise capital, and it was hard for them to access that capital. As they point out here, the ICO ban suppressed this digital crowdfunding of ICOs, but it didn't address the root of the problem. Illegal fundraising of all kinds has thrived in China because the formal banking sector still favors large corporations and state-owned enterprises. Smaller firms and entrepreneurs rely on a shadow banking sector to meet their needs for financing. It's very similar in the U.S. Obviously, it's a more advanced financial system than in China in terms of the state-owned banks, but not too dissimilar. I mean, the small and medium-sized enterprises don't have access to capital like, the ones like Amazon. Like, they could borrow money and do borrow money to share buybacks and things like that.
Right. Well, there is a political edge to it, because in China, as entrepreneurs find ways to do end run around the regulatory system and to swap and exchange and do all kinds of crypto-related businesses, the message will not go unnoticed by anyone looking to pursue free speech in China. So no matter how they try to clamp down on free speech, they'll find a way to get that free speech out there, just like they're finding a way right now to get crypto out there. So crypto's leading the way both on finance and in political activism, gearing up to an environment where no state can control speech.
It's censorship resistant in many, many ways, including that it's being used, the power of blockchain technology and Bitcoin that birthed it is that even states are able to see that, when one state like the U.S. controls the global financial system, and you cannot access the rails of that financial system without Jamie Dimon or U.S. regulators saying you can access these rails, then you're cut off from the grid, and your nation can starve. But if there's a decentralized peer-to-peer anonymous network that is neutral and it functions simply as the rails of a free market system that treats all participants in the market as equal, then it's not, you can't censor it. There's no way to stop transaction from people to get it coming together, agreeing to a price for a product, and exchanging ideas or products.
Right. So, look, the forces that created the birth of the universe, the black hole, the forces that create the birth of life itself, the need to procreate, the forces that guide us as living beings on the multiverse are not going to be stopped by any state. Okay, Bitcoin releases power that is beyond even atomic power. This is cosmic power. It can't be stopped.
Atomic swaps are coming.
Atomic swaps are coming. You can't stop this with any force. If all nation states got together and tried to stop Bitcoin, they would fail. And that's very liberating.
I pointed out that decentralized exchanges are emerging all over the world. They're erupting from the plasm of this new ecosystem and environment, and there's evolution of ideas. And the more people or governments or regulators try to stop it, the more anti-fragile it becomes, the more robust. Every time it keeps on coming back stronger and stronger. But the article actually suggests that the Chinese government doesn't actually so much mind all of this stuff happening. They were worried about the destabilization in the the financial system which they control, because so many Chinese investors were pouring into ICOs and there were a lot of scams around. So the article points out that these activities of allowing airdrops and decentralized exchanges may appear to go directly against the Chinese government's orders, but in a sense they may be what Chinese officials wanted to see. In their September edict, the authorities talked about avoiding market chaos, strengthening the education of investors, and collectively safeguarding the normal financial order. But China doesn't have a fundamental aversion to digital currencies. In fact, the central bank is developing its own fiat digital currency. A digital currency will bring about a new financial ecosystem, said Shanglin Ben, Dean of the Academy of Internet Finance at Zhejiang University. The purpose of the crackdown, he said, was to curb excessive speculation and give the authorities time to upgrade their regulatory capabilities.
Right, they were digging a hole, and they decided to stop digging and declare a victory. Okay, it wasn't their decision. The decision was not the Politburo of China to figure out. They're just reacting to this Bitcoin black hole is sucking up the entire nation of China, and everyone that rules China is being sucked into the Bitcoin black hole. If you want to be sucked up into the Bitcoin black hole, stay tuned for the second half, and you too will be sucked up into the Bitcoin black hole right after these words.